Hello guys, am I audible?
Yes, Sanjay.
Yes, sir. Okay, fine.
Yes, Sanjay, yesterday class was not yet uploaded. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it will be uploaded today. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Today, what we'll be doing is whatever data set we had yesterday. So we'll be working on Power BI, especially on the Power Query part. I'll introduce you to Power Query. So what we'll be doing going forward for the next couple of weeks will be only Power Query, right? So we'll be doing it almost every single day in the class with hands-on, so that you will get familiar with it and also with assignments, projects, and other things. I think you will be up to date with regard to Power Query once these 2 weeks are over. Now, the reason why Power Query is very important because getting data is one thing, and the second thing will be to talk about the data cleaning part. So let me just share my screen and just let me explain why Power Query is important, right? Now, this is going to be like very important insight which I'm going to share with you with regard to Power BI learning, right? Now, one question which many people have is, Sanjay, if I want to learn Power BI really well, what is it I really need to focus on, right? So one of the key areas what you need to focus when it comes to Power BI is Power Query. I would say this is like the heart of Power BI. I would say more than other topics because until you are good with this, you can't proceed to the next step, right? This step is what will determine your Power BI skills. Okay, so Power Query is extremely important. Apart from Power Query, second one will be data modeling. Third one will be DAX. Fourth one will be the design part. Design in the sense visuals as well as design. Both I'll club them together. I would say these are like the four main components of Power BI. And of course, the fifth part will be Power BI service. Again, once you go into the organizations, then only you will be able to get full view of it because in real time, once the organization gets everything live, related to their data and everything, that's when this one will come into picture. But generally speaking, in terms of learning, these are the four areas where we'll be focusing a lot on, right? Now, if you talk about the time spent, right? So imagine if you are spending 10 hours on Power BI, I'm just giving an example. You should spend at least 30 to 40%, I would say 40% or maybe 30% you should spend on Power Query. Data modeling is easy. Once if you are good with Power Query, then data modeling part becomes very easy. So the difficulty of data modeling, everything depends on how you do Power Query. Once Power Query is done, data modeling part, I would say you will not spend more than 10% of your time, not more than that. Once again, DAX, I would say you would spend around 30%, and visualizations, and again, this is again 30%, I would say. So if you have to spend time on Power BI in terms of learning or in terms of building a report, this is the focus you need to put, right, on different topics. Now you might be wondering, like, why am I talking about this at this point of time? One of the mistakes which many aspirants do is they actually think that they have to learn each and everything, which is true. You have to learn. At some point of time, there are a lot of topics which you need to cover. But the focus areas are very important, right? So I have seen people saying that I have learned Power BI, but they don't know anything about Power Query. So if you say that you know Power BI but don't know anything about Power Query, then you will not be like taken seriously. In similar way, I have seen people who do not learn anything about data modeling, at least the principles, the basics. And then one of the most popular thing and the most surprising thing about Power BI is many people learn Power BI and then they say that they don't know DAX. So that is again, very funny because without DAX, there is no Power BI, right? Because at the end of the day, you need to build calculations, the engine which is there in the backend. You need to take advantage of the engine by using DAX. Otherwise, there is no point of using Power BI. You can simply use something like Excel or Google Data Studio to build very simple calculations and do it. The point of having DAX is to make sure that you can build any kind of logic you want. So that is like, the mathematical engine, you can say, the DAX. Power BI is the Power Query is the ETL engine. ETL means extract, transform, and load. We'll go through those topics. Don't worry about them. So this should be your focus area. If you are spending X amount of time. This should be the breakup of how you need to spend your time on Power BI. Now let's talk about Power Query in detail. Okay. Now, good thing about Power Query is Power Query is there present on both Power BI and Excel. The same thing with this, same thing with this. The only difference will be this part. So in other words, if you learn these three concepts in Power BI, you already know them on Excel. If you learn these three concepts on Excel, you already know them on Power BI with slight differences. So that is the main advantage of learning these three concepts. And as you know, Excel is bread and butter of any industry. So no matter where you go, whether it's a startup or a MNC or a Fortune 500, you have to learn these concepts no matter what at some point of time to make your life easy. So the advantage of learning Power BI is this only. For example, if you try to learn Tableau or any other tool, again, it has its own advantages. I'm not saying it doesn't have any advantage, but the learning curve will be more, right? Because the concepts in Excel and Tableau, they don't blend much. But when it comes to Power BI, there is a lot of commonality between Excel and Power BI. So that's why generally, if you see a lot of people who are really good at Power BI, most of them, they're coming from Excel background, right? So I have seen people coming from coding background, but still, getting familiar with Power BI. But those who are already good with Excel, they do very well with Power BI. I mean, they have some kind of advantage. But of course, any advantage which you have is temporary. As you practice, that advantage will fade away, right? So that is about a little introduction about this. As we keep exploring, these things make more sense. Right now, these are just words, like just in front of your screen. So let's start today. And what you have to do is whatever data set I have provided, you take the CSV file. Okay. Don't take the Excel file, which we have converted yesterday. Consider the CSV file. What you do is you take the Power BI desktop. So in case you haven't installed it, please let me know. We'll wait and then you install in the background. Meanwhile, I'll explain what the concepts are. So can anyone tell me any of you did not install Power BI on their systems? Or does everyone has installed Power BI? Hello?
I have not installed Power BI yet.
Okay. What you have to do is go to WhatsApp, yesterday's chat. So click on that link, go to downloads, and then you'll find two versions, 64-bit and normal 32-bit. So if you are using Windows 10, it will be 64 only, most probably. So you can download 64-bit and download and install it. If you are using an old laptop, maybe more than 5 years old, go with non-64-bit version.
Okay.
Yeah, meanwhile, you can just install it in the background. So I will just explain in the meantime. Just I will walk you through the navigation and all. Just go, I'll wait for a couple of minutes. Just click on that link and click download. Let it download in the background. I'll walk you through meanwhile.
Okay, sure.
Only I'm out of station, so I did not do. Tomorrow I'll do it. Anyways, I am aware. I'll do it tomorrow.
Fine, fine. So right now you don't have access to Excel as well.
Yeah, today no, I don't have.
Okay, fine, fine, not an issue. So today I don't think it will be that much complex. It's easy to understand. But yeah, definitely do a hands-on once you are back.
Sure.
1 second. Yeah. Please
Okay,
let me
it's
know if the
downloading.
download starts. Okay, fine. Okay. Now let me walk you through the interface of Power BI. Just the introduction part. I mean, later you will get familiar with it as you keep practicing. Okay. So the first screen which you see as soon as you open Power BI is this screen, the one which you are seeing on my laptop. So on the top, you can see it is very familiar. It must be very familiar for you because it looks very exactly like Word or Excel. If I open Excel, on the top you can see, right? You have a ribbon. So in Power BI also we have a ribbon like this. We have a ribbon on the top. So this is called the ribbon. So you have different menus here: home, insert, modeling, etc. Now on the left side, if you notice, there are three things: fields, visualizations, and filters. Now, as the name filters say, if you want to filter something manually without writing any formula, you can use this. So there are different types of filters that I'll be walking you through once we start the session. Next, we have visualizations. Now, visualizations, again, very straightforward. Whatever visuals you want to build, all these visuals are here. Now, in case you want to build more visualizations, you can go to the store, but for that you require license. So that's not a big deal. It's just like App Store. You go there and you download it. I'll show that later as well. And then on the right side, you have the fields. Now in these fields right now, we don't have any data, so it may not make any sense. What it basically has is all the tables and columns which we imported. Once we import, it will look better. I'll show you later. Now the second one is the data view. Now also we don't have the data. What I will do is to make more sense out of this, I'll first import the data. So to import the data, there is one option called get data. So this is where you can connect any data source to Power BI, right? So this is the place where you need to click get data. If you click on the down arrow, so these are some of the common data sources. In case your data source is not related to this, then you click on more. So it will load, and these are all the data sources. So the best part about this is you have more than 100 data sources. So you can take any data source which you want and you can connect, whether it is SAP, SQL, SharePoint, text or CSV, Salesforce. It doesn't matter from which source your company is using, your organization is using. You can use any source to you can use any source to import your data, right? Now let's talk about the current source. As you know, yesterday we were talking about the data set, right? Superstore data set. So we are talking about CSV file. So yesterday we converted that to worksheet by clicking save as, but today we'll only consider the CSV file. So what you have to do is you have to select text or CSV. So let me repeat. You go to get data. Directly you can click here if you want, or you can go to more. It will load a new screen, and there you can select text or CSV and say connect. Once you click connect, it will ask you, hey, where is your file? So you can just browse here on the right side, or you can just copy the path and paste it, and you will get the file wherever you have saved it. So I'm going to select this CSV file, and then it is going to bring me to a screen like this. Once all of you have done this, please let me know. So open Power BI, click on get data, and then select the location where your CSV file is there and click OK. This is the screen which you will get with three options: load, transform, and cancel.
Sanjay, what's the maximum size of a file we can upload?
Unlimited. So it depends on your system RAM. So that's the good part about Power Query. I mean, Power BI and Power Query both. So the only limitation will be your system RAM, as much as your RAM can handle. So one thing which I recommend when it comes to laptop or system which you use is for practice purpose. It is good to have 16 GB RAM. So in case if you have 8 GB laptop, you can always upgrade the RAM manually. Maybe a couple more GB you may add, maybe 2 GB or 3 GB stick you can purchase and you can add it. Even if it is 8 GB, it is fine. But the more RAM you have, the more data, the bigger data sets you can work on. But I don't think that will be an issue. Anyway, once you start working, you will get a good laptop. In that itself, you can practice even more things, right? So 8 GB will be fine for now, but if it's manageable, but 16 GB is always recommended. And processor, i3 is okay, but i5 is better. And when it comes to storage, also go with SSD because SSD is faster compared to HDD. So when I was learning Power BI, I was having 8 GB RAM laptop and 512 GB SSD storage and i5. So that was the configuration. So it was fine. Only when I was trying to attend some Teams call or maybe Zoom call, when I tried to launch multiple apps, that's where I used to face the problem. Otherwise, it is manageable. The one which I currently have, I upgraded much later. But when I was learning Power BI, mine was also like 8 GB only. So don't worry much about it. Only speed will be the difference. Is everyone done until this step?
Sanjay, I'm facing an issue here. It
Yeah.
says that we encountered an error while trying to
Okay.
connect external tables are not in expected format.
Okay. Can you please share your screen? We'll troubleshoot.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll just allow you to share the screen. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. You click cancel. Go to get data. CSV text.csv. Yeah.
So I don't see the text.csv because I downloaded the file now from the WhatsApp group. So it's into.
Okay. Check in downloads. Maybe downloads folder on the left side.
I kept it here on this folder.
If you
Okay.
don't
Say
have,
all.
if
Okay.
you
Say
don't
all
have
files.
all files, can you select all files? Then you will find that file.
We'll see what under what. Okay. I think it was not saved properly. Maybe. You can re-download it.
Okay.
It is not properly downloaded. Maybe it's partial download. I could sense maybe it could be like that.
Got it. Yeah, so I'll quickly download. Okay.
Yeah, just re-download it. Yeah, are you able to
I'm
download?
I downloaded, now I'm opening again. And I faced the same issue.
Okay,
It's not on the
actually,
CSV format. That's the reason. Save your CSV format.
But when you say
what
from
you do
WhatsApp,
is
it directly saves.
share your entire screen and while saving, just show the one how you're saving.
Okay.
Or you can do one thing. Whatever CSV you have, you reshare the screen. Open that CSV in Excel only and save as CSV again.
Okay, I'll quickly do that.
Yeah, whatever file you have, open it in Excel and then go to file, save as, and save it under a different name with CSV format.
Okay.
Is anyone else facing the same issue, or you are able to get that screen?
We are able to get the screen.
Okay.
So I open it here.
Your screen is actually frozen. Maybe you can reshare.
Okay. Can you see?
Yeah. Yeah, you go to file, save as, click on one of the, yeah, and save it as CSV format. Right now it is in text delimited. No, down. You have comma delimited. Little down. Yeah, exactly. Give some name and save it. Give superstore and save. Yeah, save. Okay, now open Power BI. Get data. CSV. Yes. Yeah. Okay, I think. Okay, in the comma delimiter, you say comma and also based on first 2000 rows, Windows. Okay, you put comma as a delimiter. It's okay. Just give me a moment. Let me just troubleshoot. Comma. Okay, select some other delimiter and give again comma. Colon. Again give comma. Okay, we'll see how it works. It's fine. It will work. Okay, click on transform. I'll tell. Just click on transform. We'll see how it works. I think it should work. It will give you a separate rows and columns. Okay, it is still fine. We can still do it. Okay, okay guys, now let's do the troubleshooting. Now what happened? She is unable to get the actual file. Now let's see how we can troubleshoot. So we clicked on transform data. As soon as we clicked on transform data, we got into a new screen. Now troubleshooting is very important part, right? So tomorrow, if you are doing any real-time scenario, there comes a situation where you may not be able to load the data, or even if you load the data, you may face some kind of error. Now, just remember one thing, that whatever he has imported right now, it is in a single column. Now we need multiple columns. We want data to be in the regular format. So for that, we'll go step by step. Okay. So first, if you see each and every record, I mean, if you see the first record, for example, it shows row ID, comma order date. Everything is separated by a comma. But for some reason, it is not getting recognized for whatever reason, the data. So what we have to do is we have to split each column by comma. Wherever there is a comma, we have to split that value. That's how the file is actually given, right? So if you see the original file, if you open and see the original file, for example, how is the file there? The file is actually showing the order date and ship date, or row ID, order IDs. They are separate columns, but here everything is together. Yeah, exactly. So right now it is showing everything in a separate way, but actually we want everything to be, everything is showing together, combined. We want everything to be neatly done in the form of a table. So what we'll do is, on the top, you also go to transform data. For us, it will be different. I'll just use his screen to troubleshoot. Now go to transform on the top, and now you have some operations. Now what we'll do is, you go to split column. In the middle, there is something called split column. Exactly there. Now, how do we want to split the column? We want to split the column by comma. Wherever there is a comma, we want to split it. So we click on delimiter, and now it is asking, what is your delimiter? Now he selected comma, already it is selected, predefined. And what we want at every instance. So whenever there is a comma, you divide it. not only on the left or not only on the right. Wherever the delimiter is there, you have to divide it. So there we are pressing at each occurrence of the delimiter. That means if 5 commas are there in the same row, then it will divide your data into 5 parts. So if you say leftmost, what will happen? Only the first comma will be considered, not the other commas. Now we want everywhere. So by default, it is selected as comma. You can have space, you can have any other symbol as well. And now you click OK. Now what happened? Everything came. Now you may have a small mistake. If you scroll to the right, okay. If you see here, let's see if there is any mistake somewhere. Okay. Go to the right completely. Okay. Now we have the entire data. Now again, go back to the left. Now I was telling you in the last week class that there are two parts for any data. One is the headers, second is the data. Headers means what? The titles which you have on the top. Right now, if you see, where are the titles? The titles are actually in the first row. They are not actually on the top. The top one says column 1.17, column 1.18. Everything is renamed in some other name. But actually, if you think about it, that the column where the mouse cursor is there, that should be the subcategory, right? Wherever the mouse cursor is there, it should not be column 1.17. So what we have to do is we have to convert the first row into headers. Right now, whatever headers are there, they are part of the data. We have to convert those, the top first row into the header part. So to do that, handily Power Query gives us an option. If you go to the Home tab, in the middle, you have one option called Use First Row as Headers in the middle. Beside split column, go beside, yeah, exactly. So just read carefully what it says. Use first row as headers. Now, if you see on the left side, you have the row numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, everything on the table. If you see, so beside the superstore, you have, yeah, exactly there. Yeah, you have all the numbers. These numbers represent your row numbers. Now, the operation says that whatever is there in the first row can be converted as headers. So use first row as headers. So if you click on that option, it will convert this into your headers automatically. So they got converted. Now we have the actual data properly formatted. Now you see on the right side, something interesting is happening completely on the right. Not in the table, beside the table, you have something called properties on the top. Now what the properties say is, that is the name of your query. Right now we brought only one CSV file. In case we want to get more data from multiple sources, we'll have different queries. Now, where are these queries located? They are located on the left side. So right now we brought one file, we have one query. If you bring second file, you will have second query, third query. On the left side, you will get a list. Right now we have only one query. That's why it is only showing one on the left side. Now, if you want to rename it, on the right side, you have the option to rename. Right now it says super dash store. Now, let's say if you want to rename it to something else, let's say we want the superstore without a space. You can just delete that hyphen. Yeah, delete that hyphen and click enter or click tab. Now it got renamed. On the left side also, if you see, it got renamed completely on the left. Queries, under the queries, you have one query and it got renamed there also. So if you want to rename any of your query, this is how you can rename it. Now on the right side below, you will find something very interesting happening. There are something called applied steps. Every time you apply a step, what will happen is the step will get recorded. Now, why a step is getting recorded is very simple. Now, right now we have a superstore data which consists of 4 years worth of sales. Tomorrow we'll face a situation where we'll get the next year data, that next year data. New data keeps on coming. Next time when the data comes, you don't need to apply all these steps. You only need to apply these steps only one time. Once you take this apply step one time, it is automated. So let me share what I mean by that. Let me share my screen. I'll show how you can do automation with Power Query at later stage. But now just watch my screen. I'm clicking on transform data, right? So right now we don't have many, we have only 3 steps. Now watch my screen very carefully. If I click on this step, if I click on the previous step, it will show me how my data was there before applying that step. If I go to source, originally this is how my data is. Power Query is intelligent enough to apply these 3 steps automatically. I did not apply this, right? As soon as you click transform, everyone will have these 3 steps on the right side. Now in Excel, if you want to do undo, so we have performed a step accidentally and we want to go back. The option is Control Z. If you do Control Z, you'll go to undo. It will undo that step. But in Power Query, there is no undo. If you want to cancel a step, you have to click on this into icon. Whatever step you applied, if you want to cancel it, you have to click on this. But let's say you're not sure. You applied a step, but you're not sure. Then you can always click on one step and see the preview. Now I'll just give you an example. What do I mean by that? Just to make you understand whatever is there in a better way. Now let's say I want my shipping mode to be in capital letters. Okay, right now it is in proper case. See, there are 3 cases. Lowercase, uppercase, and a proper case. Lowercase means what? Everything is in small letter. So for example, I'll say Sanjay. Uppercase means what? Sanjay. This is uppercase. Proper case means the first letter will be capitalized. Rest of them are small. So these are 3 different cases. So capital letters, small letters, and it's a mixed case, you can say, in layman language. Now what I will do is, for the shipping mode, let's assume that I want everything in capital letters. So all the standard class, second class, and everything. So in Excel, how can we do it? Can someone tell me in Excel, let's say, I have something like this. Let's say Superstore. Now I want the Superstore to be in capitals. In Excel, how can we convert it into capitals?
In proper.
Everything should be capital.
Equal to upper.
Is equal to
Upper.
upper.
Okay, so what I will do, I'll say equal to upper, and then I'll select that cell and click OK. It became upper. Right now I have capital letters. Let's say if I want proper, I'll say proper, and I got my proper case. Right, this is how we do on Excel. We use a formula to refer to a particular cell, and then we click enter. Now in Power Query, if you want to do the same thing, you cannot do a cell by cell reference. Right now, what we are doing is a cell by cell reference. We refer to this cell. But in Power Query and Power BI or SQL, wherever you talk about, whichever tool, you can only apply an operation on a column, but not on an individual cell. See, this is one entire column. If you want to make capitals, it get applied to the entire column. You can't say that, okay, I want only this row to be capital, or I want only this row to be capital. You can't do that. So any operation you do on Power Query will get applied to your entire column. Now to convert this into capital letters, what I will do is, I'll go to transform, and here I have formatting options in the middle. So here I have formatting options. So here I will say uppercase. So here I have lowercase, uppercase, capitalize each word, trim, clean, we'll walk through that. So I'll select uppercase. Now as soon as I said uppercase, the entire column got transformed. So in Excel, generally what we do, let's say we have data like this. So a column like this. First we'll put a formula, then again we'll drag it to apply it to the each and every cell. In Power Query, it doesn't work like that. Once you apply to a column, the entire column in single click, it will go. Now, on the right side, if you see, we applied this uppercase step. We converted these letters into uppercase. On the right side, if you see, there is a new step which got applied. It says upper text. Now again, I have a doubt here. Did I apply the right step or did I not apply the right step? Should I cancel it? Let's say I'm in dilemma. I want to see whether to cancel this step or keep it. So what I can do is I can go to preview. So how can I see the previous step? If I click on the previous step, this is how my data looked before applying this step. Now, after applying this step, if I click on this, this will get highlighted and my current state of process is currently in front of my screen. Now let me apply one more step. Let me think, okay, let me say I want everything in lowercase. So I'll say lowercase. Now everything is in lowercase. Now I want to go back and see how is my previous step. Again, I'll go back. But again, I realized that, okay, I applied this step by mistake, lowercase. I don't want lowercase. I want only uppercase. So what I can do is I can click on this into and the step is removed. So just to summarize, two things you have to remember. Whatever steps you are applying, it will get applied to the entire column. That is the first rule. Second thing is whatever step you are applying, it gets recorded on the right side. So if you want to cancel it, click on into. But if you want to check how the result was there before, don't cancel it, because once you cancel, you cannot get it back. So let me say that I canceled this by mistake. Now I cannot get that step back. So you have to be very careful before you delete a step. So always before deleting a step, what you always do is, so let me add it back. Always you go back and check the preview. Only if you are satisfied, then only you remove this step. Otherwise, don't do it. So whatever efforts you put will be gone once you cancel the step. Now there are so many operations here. We'll walk through each and every operation, but I'll walk you through the examples. Now the most important thing you have to remember about Power Query is 90% of the time you don't need to learn any coding related to this. Only you need to know editing here and there, but that is also not true. That is also not really used in real life. In real life, everything is about clicking these buttons and doing the transformations. So this is a no code platform. So if you want to perform any operation, you don't need to write any single line of code, no formulas. Everything can be accomplished by clicking these buttons on the top. Any operation. So that is the best part about Power Query. Now, if you want to do this on, let's say if you want to do it on SQL, or if you want to do it on Python, then you need to write code, right? You need to remember the formulas and you need to write the code. But here in Power Query, you don't need to do that. Everything is already written in layman language. Now let's assume that I want to remove the first 5 rows. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to remove the first 5 rows. I don't want that. For example, I can simply go to remove rows. I will say remove top rows. It will ask me, hey Sanjay, how many top rows you want to remove? I will say I want to remove the first 5 rows. If I remove first 5 rows, what will happen? My first row will start from 6th because these 5 are removed. It should start from 22254. Now I'll click OK. Now what happened? Those rows got removed. Now if I go back to my previous step, those 5 rows are there. So if you see, until so this particular number is starting from 6th row, 22254. Now if I go back to the next step, it came back to the first because I removed the first 5 rows. Now I don't want this operation. I'll remove this. I can remove that step. So everything is about understanding the logic. If you know the logic, then Power Query is very easy. If you don't know the logic, then you have to build that logic. That's all it requires. Only DAX requires formulas. That is where you require writing DAX formulas and all. That part will come later. But for Power BI, all you need to know is how to build the logic. If you are good with your logic, you don't need to worry about Power Query. It's going to be very interesting also. Because these transformations, if you want to do manually, it will take a lot of time. In Power Query, just with single clicks of button, you can do multiple things. What you can accomplish in Power Query in 1 hour might take you 3 to 4 hours on Excel. And even after you perform it on Excel manually, again you have to repeat them. In Power Query, you can automate. Now, this is the advantage of learning Power Query over VBA. Many people ask, Sanjay, what is the difference between VBA and Power Query? Now, in VBA also you can record steps, you can record macro and everything. But in layman terms, if you talk, especially for people coming from non-IT, non-coding background, Power Query is one of the best tools to learn ETL, how to clean the data, because it all depends on logic. So that is a small introduction. You can also try it. So try to capitalize the words, try to make them small, try to remove the top 5 rows. You can try. I'll give you 10 minutes of time. And if you have any queries, you can ask.
Sanjay, I had a query here.
Yeah.
So the screen what you are, we are viewing is different what we are working on the Power BI. So is a different
Yes.
version?
No, I will tell. That also I'll walk you through. So first, you initially try the steps which I have mentioned. Then I will walk you through the interface as well. How to get all these extra things and all.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll walk you through that.
Sanjay?
Yeah.
So the download is complete. If I install it right now, will it require to restart the PC?
No, not required. You can directly start. Not an issue.
Okay.
Sanjay, I had a question here.
Yeah.
Can I ask?
Yeah, please.
So when I clicked on with my right mouse button on
Okay.
any of the column, I see in the transform I'm getting options like trim, clean,
Yes.
JSON. What does that mean?
This one you're talking about?
Yes. Trim, clean.
Okay. Yeah. See, trim and clean are used. So a lot of times what happens is when you extract your data, let's say from an ERP, or let's say you're getting a data from unknown source. So maybe from a foreign country, perhaps. A lot of times what happens is there'll be special characters. Sometimes you'll have spaces before and after. So for example, if I go to Excel, see, this is Sanjay. I'm right. Otherwise, I will say India. Okay. Here India is there. Now I'll write India with a space. Both are looking same, right?
Yes.
Now what I will do is I'll try to equate both of them. Now it will say false. Why? Because both are different when I try to equate. Now there is a function in Excel called trim. If I trim, this is something which I used to trim. Now I will try to see. Initially I equated these two. It's showing false. Now I converted this into this one. Whichever has space, I converted this into this. Now I'll try to equate this with this. What happened? It became true. Why? Because what trim will do is Trim will remove the unwanted spaces, double space, triple space, which you cannot see normally otherwise. See, with a naked eye, when you see, both of them look same. But because whenever they see, now imagine the space is before India, it is easy to notice it. But if space is after India, it is very difficult to notice.
Right.
So what trim will do is three things. First thing is it will remove the trailing spaces which are before starting, if you have. Next, you will have, it will remove spaces before and after. So before starting or after ending. Second thing is, if you have double or triple space. So let me give you another example. Now I'll say United States. I'm giving so many spaces of America. Like this I'm writing. Now if I use trim, what happened?
It makes more clean way
Exactly.
of
So
space.
wherever there are multiple spaces between the words, it converted all those spaces into a single space.
Clear.
So that's what trim does. Now in Excel, what you do, you have to do it manually by writing a formula. There you are just with one click of a button, you are writing. So today, if you think about it, upper, you have one formula for upper. You have one formula for lower. You have one formula for proper. So these three you already saw there in format options. Then you have trim. So I'll choose the uncleaned version, trim, or maybe I'll choose the United States of America. Yeah, so trim is there. Now let's talk about clean. Now sometimes what happens is there are some characters which look like space, but they are not actually space. There are some invisible special characters, especially when you extract the data from some other sources, maybe ERP system, or maybe if you get the data from some other country, because they use different languages, right? German, French, they use different characters and everything. So in such cases, what happens is you will have some spaces which look like space, but they're actually special characters. If you want to remove those unwanted characters, we also have one more function called clean. If you see, there is something called clean. So that clean function is used for removing those special characters. In Excel, you have it clean, and also you have a dual function. See, one is trim, another one is clean. Trim will remove the spaces. Just like how trim is removing spaces, clean will remove special characters. Special characters doesn't mean comma, full stop, no. Special characters means the characters which are invisible, which you are unable to clean manually.
Clear.
So that's where you will use trim and clean. Now Excel also offers another one, which is, I don't remember that one. It used to be it's an old function actually. I'll just recollect it, but these are the two main things which you generally use for data cleaning in Excel at least.
Clear. When I right click, I see JSON as well. What does that mean? I can show you my screen if
Yeah,
that's okay.
sure. Please share.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
So when I right click here and I go to transform, I see upper, lower, all the same things which you discussed right now. JSON and XML, what does that indicate?
Okay. Now let me give you an example for that. Anyway, we are going to discuss it in future class, but still I'm going to give that
clear.
example now. Okay.
Clear.
Now let's talk about India central government power. Okay. So government, let's go to Ministry of Power, or we'll go Central Power Authority of India. Right. So this is the page. Right. Central Electricity Authority. Now, right now we don't have this. What I will do is I'll say API. So if I go here, let me close the other tabs to avoid the confusion. Let it load. Okay, now it has loaded. Now this is the central, as you can see, this is Government of India, Ministry of Power. This is the Central Electricity Authority. Now this talks about all India installed power capacity with different categories. Now when I try to open one of them, so this is an API. API is called Application Program Interface. We will talk a little bit about it in the future sessions. So let me take this one. All India installed capacity, the second one. Now here you can see, let me zoom it and show you. Now what you can see here, can anyone tell me what is being shown here? I mean, just by looking at the data, how does it look?
Some program.
Is it, huh?
Manual addition of columns and rows.
Yeah. So it is not in readable format if you think about it. See,
Right.
generally we are used to looking at tables. We don't have the habit of looking at something like this, right? But system actually stores our data like this. When you talk about APIs and online web-based platforms, if you want to extract some data, this is how they actually push the data. And this data has to be converted to a table. Now, if you want to do this in any programming language, you have to learn JSON, you have to learn how the formatting is and everything, and then you have to do a little bit of manipulation to get the actual table, to convert this data into a table. Now see what will happen. I'll copy this, okay? I'm copying this. I'll go to my Power BI. I will say new source. Then I will say web. So instead of that, I can also write query as well. So I'll go to advanced editor. I will say web.contents and I'll use this one and I'll say JSON. Otherwise, I will simply go with this for now. Let's see what it will show. Depending on that, we'll see how to transform. Okay, right now it is showing like this, right? Now I'll try to convert it to JSON. Let's see if it will work or not. It shows error. So what I will do is I'll actually go to transform tab. Let me remove this also. So this is called advanced data. This is where whatever steps you apply, the code will start coming. JSON.document, web.contents, and then I'll put that URL here. And I'll try to click and let me copy that URL properly. Yeah, correct. And click OK. Now I got records. Now what I'll do is I'll convert this into a table and then I'll expand it. Now see what happened. Whatever data is there in this URL here, January, these all numbers, I was able to get everything in my Power Query in the form of a table. If you see, the entire data is with me from January 2019 till November 2022. Now, if I go to the website also, if I scroll all the way down, so until November 2022. So what Power BI did, we have used a formula here. Now, this is not actually in that, in the transform tab, whatever you use. If you go to transform and click, it doesn't work because everything should be in a single cell for that to work. But right now, that is not the case. So that's why I have to use a manually, I have to use a formula in the editor. But rest of the steps are done automatically with drag and drop just by clicking the buttons. So the point is your data source can be in any format. It can be in JSON, it can be in XML generally. Web sources are in JSON. So in web sources, if you want to pull any data, this is how the data will come. And you should know how to convert this data into a normal table. That is where JSON will come. This is all in JSON. So this JSON is called JavaScript object notation. So that is the name, full form of it. So for a layman, you don't need to remember these things in Power Query. But yes, if you are trying to do this, this is called like transformation. If you want to do this operation manually, it will take a lot of time. You need to write proper code, you have to write loops, lot of things you need to do. But here, no problem. You just need to know the formula. But in real life, you may not use it much. Because from web sources, organizational data will always be inside. For APIs, we generally use it, but not really required. 99% of the cases, you don't require this. Only in 1% of the cases, it is required. Understood?
Yes, clear.
Okay. Now you saw how Power Query worked on Power BI, right? So on the left side corner, you can see there is a Power BI icon, yellow color icon. Now let me show you the same thing on Excel. Now this is my Excel. I'll go to data tab on the top. And now I'll say I want from text or CSV and I'll click on this. Once I click on this, it'll ask me, hey Sanjay, where do you want to go? I'll go to data mines and I'll click on this. And now again, it will give me the similar screen. What do you want? Do you want to transform, load, whatever you want to do? This is on Excel. Till now, I showed you on Power BI. Now, let's see the same thing on Excel. I'll say transform data. Now, this is an Excel file actually. If you see on the top left, Excel symbol is there. So this is how Power Query looks on Excel. Same interface. Right side, you have the steps. You have a transform tab. You have all these operations, uppercase, lowercase, trim, clean, split column by delimiter, home tab, add column, view tab. On the left side, you have queries. Very similar, little bit change in the color scheme. That's it. Now, this is the editor on Excel, just for your comparison. And this is the editor on Power BI. If you see Excel, Power BI, looking exactly the same. If you think here and there, layout will be different, but overall it looks the same. Operations and everything. In Power BI, you have more things: Azure machine learning, vision, text analytics. Some extra features will be there, but 90% of it is same. Just watch carefully. This is Excel Power Query. This is Power BI Power Query. And even the tabs also, few things you may have extra in Power BI, like diagnostics and other things. Those you may not have, but day-to-day life, if you talk about in typical office or generally, as a data analyst, whatever you can accomplish in Power BI in a regular job, you can accomplish the same thing on Excel also using Power Query. So that's why I mentioned, if you are good with Power BI, you can take your Excel skills to the next level. If you are already good with Excel, then learning Power BI is easy. But this kind of advantage you will not get with any other BI tool. So this is the biggest advantage of learning Power BI. If you learn this here, you can apply the same principles on Excel also. Here and there, few changes will be there. 90% of it will be the same. Remaining 10% is all about interface. Okay, some icons are here, some icons are there. How do you load the data? How do you transform? Few changes will be there. That also I'll take one session to do the comparison, so that it will be easy for you also. So if you learn Power Query, it's like 2-in-1 advantage. You can implement it on Excel. You can also implement it on Power BI. And the other advantage is the same Power Query, you will also find it in Power Platform, Dataverse, Azure, in a lot of other platforms also, you will get exactly an interface like this. So this is not just limited to Excel or Power BI. In future, if you want to learn new technologies, let's say if you want to learn Power Platform, where there is Dataverse, earlier it was called Common Data Services. There also, if you want to do the data cleaning, it will be a Power Query in the online version. It's an online version of Power Query. So that is the advantage of having different products from the same company, which is Microsoft. So whatever knowledge you gain here, it is transferable. You don't need to again relearn these things when you try to learn those new technologies. So Power Query has been there with Excel from the year 2011. Power BI came in 2015. Even though Power BI came in 2015, those who have been learning Power Query from 2011 itself, they're already familiar with it. Only few things they just learned newly in Power BI. So that's why most of the people whom you see who are good in Power BI, they come from Excel background because that knowledge is transferable. So that Excel experience adds on to the Power BI experience. Even if you don't have it, that's fine. You can learn, right? So that is about Power Query, a little introduction about it. Now let me talk about the important part, right? Let's say you have this data, superstore data. So let me copy this data and put it in a new file just for, I don't want to touch the raw data. Okay. Now you have to give me the idea. Now my requirement is I want to see country-wise sales. How can I see it? I want a summary, country-wise summary of sales. How can I achieve that on Excel?
Pivot.
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 Okay. So, some of them are not familiar. So I'll ask you to walk me through it. So how do I create a pivot? First, I'll select the data. Now tell me, what should I do to create a pivot? Hello?
You go to
All DPF.
Okay. Alt.
pivot table.
DPF.
This I think Alt and V, right?
Okay.
Alt and V. So Alt and V, and then you say table or range. You click OK, and a pivot got created. Now what I will do, I'll simply go to my country, put it here, and then I'll go to sales and put it here. Now I got my summary, correct? This is the summary which I got. So what did I do? I selected the range, went to insert, went to pivot, table or range I selected, and it created a pivot. I mean, after that I dragged and dropped these fields in rows, country, because these are rows, right? So these are all rows. So I want countries to be displayed in rows. So I dragged the country here, and sales, I want the aggregation, the total sum of sales in a summarized view. So I dragged sales in values column. So for those who are beginners, so that's how we have done a pivot. Now I want to do the same thing here. How can I do it? Very simple. First, what I'll do is I'll not disturb this query. In order to not to disturb this, I'll right click and I'll say duplicate. Now I have two queries with similar names. Now here I will say country summary. And right now, because I duplicated, all the steps also got applied. I'll remove the last step. I don't want that uppercase. So in Excel, what we did, we went with a pivot. Now let's say I want to do the same with Power Query. So how can I do it is, I'll go to transform, and there is an option called group by. Now again, if you see group by, this is again a SQL concept. So those who are familiar with SQL will be able to relate to this even better. So I'll click on group by. Now it is asking, how do you want to group your data? I want to group my data by country. So I'll go here and I'll select country. Now it is asking, what do you want to have along with country column? I will say total sales. Now it is asking, do you want to count the sales or do you want to do something? I say, I want sum. Please do the sum. What is the column? Where is my sales column? My sales column is here. So I'll select sales. So just to summarize, what did I do? I went to group by. It is asking by what parameter I want to summarize. How do I want to group it? I wanted to group it by country wise. Now, along with country, what do I want? Do I want profit? Do I want cost? That I have to specify. I want a new column called sales. This new column should contain sum of all the sales of each country. And I click OK. Now see, I got this. Very easy, right? Even easier than pivot table, if you ask me, if you get used to it. So whatever you had in pivot table, the same exact thing came here also. Here in Excel, we do a pivot. Here we'll do a group by. Same concept. So the only thing is you need to know the logic. That's it. Everything is in front of you. If you know the logic, it's very easy. Now let's say I want to reverse. I want to reverse my rows. I want this Algeria to go back. I want the other one to come front. If I click on reverse the rows, it reversed the rows. Now what happened? Algeria is now down. Because remember, this one is not in alphabetical order, right? So first B is coming, then U is coming. This is not at all in alphabetical order. Now this is not a data which is sorted. Whatever order is there, it has just given some order. Now I want to reverse the rows. When I reverse it, what happens is it maintains that order. It just reverses it. First row will become last and last row will become first. So we have a lot of operations like this, right? So I was able to get my summary here with Power Query by doing group by. So you can also try it and let me know. So what I did, I right clicked and duplicated the query, removed the step which I don't want, and then I did group by, selected the country and the new column name, whichever name you give, this will be the new column. And I have done the sum. Now I may have a doubt. I don't want sum. I want an average sales of each country. I can simply, so if I want to edit this step, what I can do, I'll go to the right side, wherever this step is applied, I'll click on the gears icon. Once I click on the gears icon, it will give me back that table which I had before. Now I change my mind. I don't want sum. I want average. So I'll go here and click average and I'll click sales and I'll click OK. Now I have my average sale per country. Now again, I want to change it. Again, I can simply go back and change it. So number of times you can change it. You don't need to worry that, okay, you're applying too many steps. You can edit the same step. So earlier I told about how to remove a step. Now this step is all about editing it. Not every step will allow you to edit. Wherever you have the gear icon, there only you can edit the parameters. That gear icon, if you click, you can always edit however way you want. Yeah, you can also try it and let me know if it's working for you.
Sanjay, a quick question here.
Yeah.
We can only take two columns, or we can even take more group by, like according to years. I will see the sales of two countries or something like it. It's possible or no?
Like you want multiple columns, more than two columns.
Grouping according to multiple columns?
We
Like,
can. Yeah, we can do it. So let's say I want city also, city and country together. I want a
okay.
summary. So just if I go to pivot, right now it is showing country and sales. Now I'll add city here, right? This is how you want it, right?
Right.
So first you have the country grouping, then you have the city grouping. So in Power Query, what you can do, simply go to open. Yeah, you can just 1 second. Let me minimize this. Yeah. Now what you can do here, you can simply go to advanced tab and you add another grouping. Another grouping will be your city. So go to advanced tab and you add one more grouping. The total sales will be same. So here again, let me choose sum or average, whichever I want, and I'll click OK. Now I got this. Now if I just sort it, for example, you'll have it. See, Afghanistan has 4. Now here also in Excel, if you see pivot to compare, there are 4.
Understood.
Yeah, you can do it unlimited.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. So again, if I want to remove this, so again, I'll click on the gears icon. I'll click on the 3 dots and remove this and click OK. Again, I'm back. And one thing which I would like to tell you is once you start using Power Query, you'll stop doing things manually on Excel, right? Because a lot of people who learn Power Query, they end up using a lot of Power Query on Excel also, right? Not just in Power BI. And personally, a lot of people told me that I have made a mistake by not learning Power Query long back, because this has been existing from the last 11 years in Excel. So it's a very, very powerful tool. And this can potentially save at least 1 hour of your productivity every single day, right? You can get an extra hour out of this. So once you learn how to automate things, like I'll show you, like, let's say if you have multiple files, how will you combine them in Power Query? Multiple Excel sheets, or let's say if you want to keep on updating the data every month, let's say you have a activity where you have to keep on doing it. So how to automate those things? All those things I'll be walking you through Power Query in detail for the next couple of weeks. Once you get familiar with it, once you get hang of this, you will never go back to traditional Excel again until and unless it is really required. And the best part about Power Query is whatever you do with Power Query, you can bring data from multiple sources. So let's say if you have data from SAP, you don't need to go to SAP, extract the data, bring it to Excel. You don't need to do all of that. Directly you can connect. So if you see Excel, I mean, if you go back, if I show you Excel also, if you see here, you can connect it to number of databases directly. You don't even need any middle person to give you the data. So you can connect to Azure, you can connect to databases, you can connect to Power Platform. Even with Power BI also, you can connect directly. That I will show you how it works and all. You can connect with SharePoint. You have, I mean, if you are from big data background, even Hadoop also it supports, by the way. Right? So there are multiple ways in which you can use Power Query. And now let me show you something cool. Okay. The last topic for today's class. I'll say Wikipedia population by country. Right? So this is the population of different countries. Now I want this data. Maybe I'm working on some economics project and maybe I might require this data from time to time. And this data keeps on getting updated by Wikipedia people. So for example, if you see this one got updated on 17th January. So they keep on updating it, right? You know, Wikipedia. So for example, this one got updated. So 17th January means yesterday it got updated, right? So they keep on updating these tables. Now, generally what people do is if they want to get something from any website, they do it manually. What they will do, they will go here, copy everything, copy like this. Then again, they'll come back and paste it. Now, the problem is, what will you do if they update? They'll keep on repeating this activity. Every day they'll go to office. They'll again go here, copy it, bring it to Excel. Again, they'll go to office next day. Again, they'll do it. Either weekly, daily, monthly, whatever. Now, what I'll do is I'll copy this. I'm going to my Excel. Now I'll say my source is from web. I'll click OK. I'll put the Wikipedia link and I'll click OK. Now it is connecting directly to Wikipedia. Now it will ask me, hey Sanjay, how do you want to connect to Wikipedia? Do you want to connect anonymously or not? It will ask. Now I have my table here. This is the table where the population is written. And here you can see the date also. I'll click transform data. Now I have this header problem. So where are my headers? So this is called a double header problem. We'll talk about this tomorrow. In tomorrow's session, we'll see how we'll resolve it. For now, I'll just show you how it works. So I don't want the top two rows. Already I have my data in the top row. So what I'll do is I'll go here and I'll try to remove the top two rows and my data is here. Now this one is in percentage. I will convert this data into percentage. How to convert the data and all, we'll see tomorrow. I'm just showing you the preview. This one I'll convert it to a date. And here the source is there, note size there. Now what will happen is, I'll say close and load. Now it will create a new tab and everything is loaded in Excel and this is directly coming from Wikipedia. So I'll save this file somewhere and close it. Tomorrow I'll come back to office and I want latest version of the data. Maybe someone might have updated data today, 18th. All I do is open the Excel file, click on refresh. My latest data will be loaded directly here. I don't need to go to Wikipedia again. Directly from the website, it is connected to my Excel file. The same thing you can do on Power BI also. Now what happens? What I did everything on Excel, right? I mean, I went here, I applied some steps, I did a lot of things. Now I'll go to advanced data. I'll just copy this code. Now I'll go to Power Query in Power. This is Power BI, right? I copied the code from Excel, that Wikipedia code, whatever is there in the background in advanced data. And now I came back to Power BI. Now I'll open a blank query here. I'll go to advanced data, paste it, and I'll click OK. All the steps got applied on the right side. You can see it has recognized all the steps and it will load the data directly. See, it is there on Power BI. All I did was just copied the code and brought it here. You don't need to apply the steps again. If you did something on Excel, you don't need to worry. Oh, again, I have to do it on Power BI. You can do it here, copy it there. You can do it there, copy it back. So directly now my Power BI is connected to Wikipedia. I don't need to do it manually. So even after 1 month, if I come back, all I need to do is click on this refresh and the data will get updated. So that's how much powerful Power Query is. You can connect online data sources, you can connect it to SQL, you can connect it to SAP, you can connect it to APIs, you can connect this to Wikipedia, you can connect it to any source. So if you know this, you will make your life very easy. So there are some people who work on equity research. They often need to go to website and get some data. So if you know Power Query, you can do it very easily. So what do you think about Power Query? What are your thoughts?
I think we should start using Power Query rather than Excel.
Exactly. Yes. So the more you practice Power Query, the more easy your life will become in terms of productivity, time saving, in terms of skill building, in every other possible way. And when people say, Sanjay, I want to clean the data, what tool should I use? I simply say go with Power Query because it's there on Excel. You don't need to install any new software also. So we'll do, lot of things are there on Power Query, very, very nice things. So we'll walk through all this mini, like you can say, these are like mini case studies, you can say. We'll walk through all of these things for the next 2 weeks. It's going to be very interesting. I would request all of you not to miss any class. Even if you miss, make sure that you watch the recording on the same day so that we can go in a very smooth way. And on Friday, there is a quiz, like I mentioned. And tomorrow you have to submit the assignment, which I have given you yesterday, 100 ideas. So the same Superstore data set, you have to generate 100 ideas and submit it. By tonight, I'll float the Google form. Most probably by tomorrow, you can do the submission. Tomorrow by night, right? By Thursday night, you can do the submission and be ready for the quiz. Be ready for the quiz day after tomorrow on Friday, right? The quiz will be on charts is already over. This time the quiz will be on mainly Power Query and the rest of the other topics. Fine. I'll stop the recording here. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Sanjay, any best source for Power Query?
Yeah. Can you repeat?
Best site or source for Power Query learning?
See, remember
Power Query, I have learned from you only one of the webinar you have told this Power Query regarding Power Query. Then I started using little bit in my office. Whatever we are doing, multiple files clubbing together, it is taking time. So we were using like same month data will be same, columns will be same. So by using
Yes.
Power Query, we can merge any number of files like that. We have started. So like furthermore, if any source is there, good source where we can go through like that.
So there is one website called Chris Weber. Chris Weber is there. That blog you can follow, but that is little advanced. Yeah, but definitely I'll do share the I'll share the link in WhatsApp.
Thanks.
Chris Webb. His name is Chris Webb. Okay, so one thing which I want to tell all of you from today's class is Excel is very powerful. So because the reason why I showed Excel and Power BI parallelly, because many people take Excel for granted. People think that, oh, that is just Excel. What is there to learn? But Excel can do as many things as Power BI can do. I mean, a lot of things. There is a lot of commonality. So Excel as a tool, a lot of things are there to learn. Just like Power BI, how Power BI is an ocean, Excel also is an ocean. Like I mentioned, the best part is skills are transferable. If you are learning whatever I teach you in the next until the end of the Power BI classes, the same concepts are transferable on in Excel. And in Excel, the best part is many users appreciate what you do on Excel more than what you do with other tools. So let me give you a typical example. If you write a very beautiful code on, let's say on Java or on Python, and if you show it to someone, they will not even know how to appreciate it because they don't know coding, right? So obviously, for a business user to appreciate your code, until you show some output, they will not appreciate you. But if you show something on Excel, which can be done like this, for example, connecting to online source, multiple examples which I have given, any business user will appreciate you, right? Even when I try to like impress some business user, I never show any Power BI capabilities first. First, I'll show these capabilities on Excel with Power Query, and once they like it, then I'll show them on Power BI. This is a small trick which I use in order to get the attention of the business users, because for business users, they don't care whether you are writing a code, whether you are using Power BI or Tableau, they don't care. For them, Excel is bread and butter. Period. Right? No matter how much you do, how much you say, okay, this is powerful, that is powerful, they will stick to Excel no matter what. I think most of you will be familiar with whatever I'm saying. That's why that is the biggest major advantage of this transferability of skills. So if you learn one Microsoft product, learning other product is very easy. Even in SQL also, a lot of these functionalities are same. Upper, lower, all these formulas. If you try to learn from MS SQL or maybe what you call it as TSQL, a lot of these formulas are common there also. Yeah. So that is from my end in today's class. Any questions?
Sanjay, recordings will be available by.
Yeah. Yes, today they'll be made available.
Okay.
Okay, guys, fine. So do the assignment and also prepare well for the quiz. So I'll end the class, and if you have